Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to Physio Move and Groove. My name is Jeannie. I'm a physical therapist with over 25 years of experience helping people to move well, feel well, and be well. So today we're going to be talking about ankle sprains. Now, most of you have probably had an ankle sprain. The most common ankle sprain that occurs is what's called an inversion ankle sprain. So that's kind of like you're running along and all of a sudden your foot gets pointed down and inwards and you roll your ankle. That is the most common ankle sprain. That's the one that we're going to be talking about today. So first off, what even is an ankle sprain? So when we talk about an ankle, there are dynamic stabilizers and static stabilizers. So the dynamic stabilizers are your muscles. That's not what we're going to be talking about today. The static stabilizers are your ligaments. That's when people talk about an ankle sprain, that's what they're actually referring to. So what happens during an ankle sprain, basically when you have that inversion rollover ankle sprain, your ligament is connected to two bones and it provides the stability between two bones. Well, when you overstretch it, that's essentially what an ankle sprain is. Now, the thing to keep in mind after an ankle sprain is that that ligament that originally got pulled never goes back to its original position. And that's why it's really important that you work on stabilizing the ankle after an ankle sprain. So today we're going to talk about what do I do in the first 24 to 48 hours after an ankle sprain. Now, many of you have heard about the RICE principle: rest, ice, compression, and elevation. So let's talk about the first one, the R, the rest part. So recent research has shown that rest is actually not the best thing for an ankle sprain. And in fact, early mobility will improve your healing process. But it is certain directional mobility that you want to start on. And that's actually what's called ankle dorsiflexion, which is moving your foot upwards, and ankle eversion, moving your foot outwards. So kind of the opposite direction of how you actually injured your ankle. Those are the motions that you want to start with. And we're going to talk about what exercises you should begin with initially after your ankle sprain in one moment. Now we move on to the rest of the RICE principle, the ice. There is a ton of debate over whether I should ice right after an injury or not. I'll show you what I used to have all my patients do. I used to have them after an ankle sprain, take a bucket, fill it up with water and ice, and then stand inside it and do 10 squats as long as they could weight bear pain-free. That is like super important. So they would do 10 squats and then they set a timer for 1 minute and then do another 10 squats, set a timer for 1 minute, do another 10 squats, and do this for 10 minutes to originally get that motion and that ice going. But recent research actually shows that ice can actually interfere with the healing process. Our natural very first stage of healing is inflammation. And if we put ice immediately on our ankle, it causes our blood vessels to vasoconstrict and get smaller, which means that not as much blood flow can get into the area. So all those healing cells are not able to get to that area that you've just injured as quickly. Now, although this is what recent research might show, I still use ice. I still like ice. One of the other big benefits of ice is it helps to decrease pain. It helps to numb some of that pain, so it makes you feel better. And if it makes you feel better and you believe it's working, there is something to be said about that. So if you still want to use ice, go ahead and use it. It will help to decrease your pain, which then will allow you to have some of that early mobility. As far as the compression and elevation part, absolutely. Compression, wrapping it with an ACE bandage or a tensor bandage, helps to relieve some of that swelling. And elevation is really important because when you have an ankle sprain, by leaving your ankle just dangling there, when you have more swelling, there's nowhere for it to go, so it actually just gets worse. So if you can elevate it above your heart, it allows the fluid to be able to go towards your heart so you can recirculate it all, and it will help with making it feel more comfortable. Okay, folks, so we're actually going to get down onto the bed to start with some of the early range of motion exercises that will help to improve your healing process. Okay, so as I said, you want to start with that dorsiflexion mobility, which is going up, toes up towards you, and eversion mobility, which is bringing your foot away from you. Those are completely safe exercises to do. And again, you only want to do this in the pain-free zone. It is not no pain, no gain after you've had an injury. So you can practice just getting that ankle moving. You can also take a bathrobe belt or a dog leash, put it on the ball of your foot and help to pull it up into that dorsiflexion to try to get as much motion as you can. Now, once you start to be able to have that dorsiflexion and inversion mobility back, seems to be moving pretty well, you can actually start to add on a TheraBand, which is a bit of strengthening to those two movements. TheraBand colors run from yellow to red to green to blue to black. So I just have a blue one here, but you would probably start with a yellow or a red one in the beginning. So basically to do eversion, you're gonna wrap it up around your foot there, and then you're actually gonna take your other foot, which is gonna serve as an anchor, and then you can bring your foot away. So that just helps to serve as an anchor to get a little bit more of that strengthening in for eversion. Now, not to confuse you, but since we're already sitting here, I'll show you how to do the plantar flexion and the inversion movements, but you would not want to do those right away. So to do plantar flexion with your foot, you just point it downwards against the resistance. And to do inversion, you would actually take it still around that foot, you put it underneath, and then you'd wrap your band around your other foot to serve as the anchor, and you pull it inwards. So that's how to get the inversion. But again, you're not going to do the inversion or the plantar flexion right away. You're going to wait a while until you can do those pain-free, which is going to take a little bit longer. Now I'm going to get down on the floor to show you the way that you can do the ankle dorsiflexion with a band on your own for a little added resistance. Okay, so again, this is probably the easiest way that you can do resisted ankle dorsiflexion. So you'll just tie a band to a kitchen table leg, and then you're just going to bring your foot up against it. Now, if you have someone that's there with you, they can hold the other end of the band, and you can do it as well. But if not, tie it to a table leg, and you can go up and down with it. And so again, dorsiflexion and eversion are the first two range of motion exercises and strengthening exercises that you will begin with. Okay, so let's take it back up into our standing position to go over some standing exercises that you can do. Okay, so after you've done some of the non-weight bearing things, you should be able to start to weight bear relatively quick if you have a grade 1 or 2 ankle sprain. So then you want to actually get into doing a little bit more of your calf stretching. So my right ankle is the one that I've sprained. You want to be able to stretch out your lower calf. So you'll hold it for 30 seconds, do it 4 to 5 times. And then you want to be able to stretch this one is for your upper calf. Your lower calf, you're going to bend your knee. So to get the lower calf, you're going to bend that knee, hold it for 30 seconds, 4 to 5 times. To get the upper calf, you'll have your legs straight, hold it for 30 seconds, 4 to 5 times. Then you want to actually gradually be able to get into a little bit more single leg weight bearing. Again, it has to be pain-free, but once you stand on that one leg, you can actually take your opposite leg and bring it out to the side away from you. Now, the reason why this is relatively safe is because it will make your foot actually turn to that outwards position, which is more eversion. So it's an eversion force, which should be okay for you to do. You can even stand on that right sprained ankle and turn away. Again, it's an eversion force, which should not hurt your ankle at all. Now, I cannot stress enough, these are the beginning exercises. A lot of people feel that after they've sprained their ankle, that there will be no difficulty and I'll be fine to be able to return to my sport. Please understand that after you sprain your ankle, something called your proprioception is affected. And what proprioception is the ability to tell what position your foot and your ankle are in so that you can respond to that certain position. That becomes altered. If you don't work on that, you are more likely to sprain your ankle again and again. So super important that you see your physical therapist or your athletic trainer so they can help teach you those proprioceptive and balance exercises to get you back in the game. So once again, people, thank you so much for tuning in. I really hope that you learned some things that may help you initially after you roll your ankle over. And just keep in mind that I do hope that you will subscribe to my channel. Just hit that subscribe button, super easy to do. I hope that you like some things, and I also hope that you'll give me some ideas of future topics that I can cover to help you to be able to move well, feel well, and be well. So thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you all next Friday.